Getting money in the hood, straight drop. You can get it if it's good, straight drop. Gang, gang, no sugar, straight drop. Straight drop, this that straight drop. Yeah, I'm back, get the strap, I think I'm 50 Cent. Glock 40 with the dick, that's that extended clip. King stepper, side stepper, yeah, CYC. Been stepping, before stepping was the Shia. If I'm ever in your section, then it's DIE. Applying pressure, bet these niggas gon' remember me. Ocean views, world news, blowing killer Cali. Counting racks, talking to my plug in the getting money. And we gonna be talking about this rogue DEA agent, Chad Scott. I once heard about him in the early 2000s. I think it was probably around 2002, 2003. When I first heard about Chad Scott. And I heard of him through one of the OGs or something that was speaking on him and was saying that he popped one of their partners out of town with some yaz or something like that, you know what I'm saying, with a load. But say he was a dirty cop, you know what I'm saying? He was a dirty DEA agent. And he had a lot of shit he used to be doing under the table.
DEA agent locked him up. Now others who say they were there that early morning support his claims.
Had you heard of Chad Scott and Jack Schumacher prior to your case?
Sure, I mean, their names were in the street.
DEA, including one of their big guys, Chad Scott, took note of that scene, made arrests too.
These agents, they were out of control. They were just, it's heartbreaking. It's frightening, you know, and I'm glad that they've been taken off the street.
This guy actually was trying to extort the Rap-A-Lot CEO, Jay Prince.
When I made that statement to you, let's do this or do the other, I understood that, you know, the feds and all them people was out to destroy us. And 1%, I tell this around the world, you can have 99% of your shit straight and 1% can be out of whack, and they'll take that 1% and contaminate your 99 and destroy your whole movement. You know what I mean? Because think about it. Think about, you know, the Chad Scott and the Schumachers, you know, these federal agents that, you know, was trying to kill me. You know what I mean? Would have killed you too if they had the proper opportunity.
Here's the funny thing about that.
Yeah.
Here's something funny about that I didn't realize until I got older. See, I never realized that our lives were on the line until, you know, a couple of years later. I didn't know that this white boy killed all of these people, man. And he, you know, like, your thinking was light years ahead of mine. You know, like I didn't see that. I just saw somebody that was jealous of me, that was trying to catch me slipping. I know that man wanted my life, bro.
You didn't know he was a hit man.
I had no clue. And then when you start exposing different shit, I was like, damn.
Well, what I love about it, you know what I mean? When I start exposing, you know what I mean, these people or whatnot, your loyalty never, you never flinch to the extent where when it was time to say, look into my eyes, you know what I mean? You brought it raw and uncut, you know what I mean? Look into my eyes, motherfucker, with no cut on it.
No.
You know what I mean? And that was important because, like a lot of people, when these type of individuals get on their road, they put their tail between their legs and they go and hide and run and different things. But we wasn't them individuals. You know what I mean? We understood the foundation that we stood on, and we were willing to die for that. You know what I mean? We were willing to die for that so the generations today can live like they're living right now.
Here's loyalty.
Yeah.
When bruh call you and say, man, I've been kicking some shit around in my mind, man. And I think we might need to get these motherfuckers. We need to. I'm like, what? What?
I was in my 20s then, right?
Like, man, you better leave the people alone. No, man, I'm telling you, man, you got to get now. We got to come back in here and get them like this and so and so. Fuck, I'll meet you in the studio in 30 minutes, and we'll go lay some shit down,
Yeah,
man, and make history every time. I was thinking about it,
yeah.
man. We
Let's
might need to
ride.
make history again, bro.
Well, I'm always down with making history. You know what I mean?
Make some new memories.
I live for that moment. You know what I mean? I love making new moments, and it can't nobody do it like we can do it. You know what I mean? You know, we have a formula that's second to none. So you tell me the
Man,
time and the place, I'm gonna show up. In the ice,
man.
snow, it don't matter. You know what I mean? I'm gonna
Yeah.
figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah, I think we might need to, man, you know, I wasn't even thinking about it, but man, it might be a good ass idea to go back in there and lift the skirt up on that dirty motherfucker one more time, man.
I think he caught a charge down here somewhere too because he was going to the federal courthouse on Partisan camp up there. So he had to have some federal charges going on down here too, where they probably indicted him on some under the table stuff he didn't did, you know what I'm saying, pop somebody, went under with the money or something like that, you know what I'm saying?
Agent Chad Scott finds himself on house arrest. A jury in New Orleans convicted him last month on 7 counts. Overall, corruption was the case prosecutors gave him. Perjury, obstruction of justice, falsifying government records. The allegations stem from Scott's work as a DEA agent north of New Orleans after he transferred out of the Houston area. And since federal investigators zeroed in on Scott, convicted felons have walked free. Prosecutors asking a judge to dismiss their charges, claiming Scott coerced witnesses into giving false testimony.
He definitely was a rogue. So it says Chad Scott, once a decorated U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, always loved by higher ups but known as the White Devil amongst traffickers, was sentenced to over 13 years in prison Thursday, a day after he took the stand in a packed New Orleans courtroom to plead for murder.
Declares a mistrial today in the case of a former DEA agent accused of falsifying records and taking kickbacks. As Rob Masson reports, Chad Scott's legal problems are far from over.
As he headed up a local drug task force, Chad Scott was considered to be one of the most active drug agents in the region.
He was a very prolific agent. He made a lot of cases, and he had a member of the U.S. Attorney's Office testify for the defense in his behalf.
2 weeks ago, federal prosecutors began laying out their case against Scott, who was charged in a 13-count indictment issued back in September of 2017. That indictment alleged he falsified records in order to take possession of a seized vehicle. He was also accused of obstruction of justice, perjury, and taking a gratuity in excess of $10,000. Scott was part of a drug task force which included members of the Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office, which was the target of an FBI raid back in December of 2016.
Those actions are continuing, and the investigation is ongoing, with many more investigative actions to take place.
Among those who testified for the prosecution and against Scott were several drug dealers.
Criminals testify against other criminals all the time. In this case, the defense could say, not only are you doing that to help yourself, Mr. Witness, but you're doing that because you're mad at Chad Scott because he's the guy that put you in jail.
Scott's son also spoke in his defense, saying that once decorated agent in the DEA's New Orleans office had been a loyal soldier in the drug war, a tireless worker, and a devoted father. The last 4 years have been filled with agony, sadness, and anger, Tyler Scott, 29, said. My father is a man of honor and courage. He woke up every day with a purpose to make the world a better place, Tyler Scott said. Prosecutors asked the judge to sentence Scott to the maximum possible time, just shy of 20 years. They argued that Scott should get time equal to the crime for which he obstructed justice.
The whole prosecution has had a profound effect on dozens of cases because Chad Scott made dozens of cases.
Scott proved himself to be a brazen criminal who hid himself behind a badge. Assistant U.S. Attorney Timothy Dury argued. Defendant Scott did a staggering amount of damage. Prosecutors called 3 witnesses Wednesday who recounted how they had been wronged by Scott.
He was wrongfully convicted. DA agent Chad Scott. He falsely testified at his trial. Myself and Mr. Bassan, who were partners, we filed a compassionate release based on that false testimony, and that the laws had changed, that if he would be sentenced today, he would get a lower sentence. The judge agreed, and he's home now. How does it feel to be home? Man, it's a blessing. I thank God for you. I really do.
Over the course of a 7-day trial, prosecutors used the evidence that pointed to Scott committing these crimes during his time as a DEA special agent in and around the New Orleans and Houston areas. Evidence indicated that Scott directed a Houston-based drug trafficker to purchase a Ford F-150 truck worth approximately $43,000 and forfeited the vehicle to Scott as part of a trafficking cooperation. Afterwards, prosecutors said Scott falsified the paperwork for the seizure of the truck in numerous ways. Prosecutors say he lied about seizing the truck in New Orleans instead of in Houston. This led to the vehicle being forfeited and given to Scott as his official government vehicle. That boy was out of his mind, huh? Before Scott was indicted for the charges last May, Scarface called out the former DEA special agent. Scott will be sentenced on December 1st, which is nearly 19 years to date that the U.S. House Committee Government Reform reviewed both Scott and his partner Jack Schumacher's publicized investigation into J. Prince Rap-A-Lot Records. So he was trying to go with the move and was investigating J. Prince record label, and Slick Side probably trying to extort J. Prince at the same time and trying to go with his move and take what he could take. You feel me?
In the 1990s, the hip-hop community thrived in Houston, and none moved the needle more than Rap-A-Lot Records.
So after Scott was arrested last year, J. Prince shared his thoughts on the matter on an Instagram post. In the post, Prince said Scott and Schumacher tried to take him and his record label down. They finally caught one of the 2 DEA agents assigned to take my life over a decade ago, he wrote on Instagram. He said, we put the spotlight on these so-called gangster DEA agents years ago because of their threats on my life and many other criminal acts they committed. I hired an investigator to investigate Jack Schumacher and discovered that he killed 8 people on duty. This is highly unusual for an officer to use his weapon so many times. As an officer, he was never convicted of murder. And was promoted from officer to a DEA agent only to kill more. So the hitman, as his sidekick Chad Scott, were assigned to destroy me and Rap-A-Lot Records around the same time Murder Inc. and Death Row was being attacked by the law enforcement agencies. A decade later, the truth has come to light. The very thing I revealed years ago about these 2 agents, Chad Scott, has now been indicted for. Over the years, he left a trail of blood and bodies by victimizing homies and becoming a criminal with a badge. Now the time has come for the victims in Louisiana and Texas to come together with any information on this scumbag to free those who've been wrongly set up and imprisoned by him. And that was J. Prince spoke on that and said that. So like I said, man, you can go check out that Scarface, The Last of a Dying Breed, on the song Look Into My Eyes, and on the song The Gangster Shit, he spoke on his crooked DEA agent. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, he was after J. Prince, and I guess he was going to try to extort him and get what he could get. Then he was going to go with the move when he didn't need him to move, you know what I'm saying? So J. Prince and him just was ahead of that shit and blast them out in the music way, you know what I'm saying? Basically giving themselves some insurance, speaking out, you know what I'm saying? Letting everybody know he one of them, you know what I'm saying? And we got to do something about this clown, you feel me? So if he did, whenever he did try to pop them, you know what I'm saying? They already had to spoke on him live on wax on the CD. Thousands of people that heard this, you know what I'm saying? So I just put y'all on something if y'all wasn't already on it, you know what I'm saying? So y'all get in that comment section, man. Slum 1200 GGI mob shit.
Niggas say when they see me that it's going down. I I ain't tripping, I got something that hold 100 rounds. I get it straight out the mud, fuck all that playing around. Pull up on them, get the spraying and lay a nigga down. Stack it all up and watch it power to the ceiling. Stack it all up and watch it power to the ceiling. Stack it all up and watch it power to the ceiling. Stash a couple million for my children, grandchildren.